Gracious God, we thank you for this glorious and wonderful and beautiful world in which we live, for putting it in our hearts and minds to gather, to learn how to take better care of our creation. Give us your grace and wisdom to learn together how to be good stewards of this wonderful gift. Bless our time together, our fellowship, with peace and love. Amen.
Welcome to the first annual Ramona Earth Day Festival, everyone. We're getting off to a little bit of a late start. There's always some technical difficulties with the PA and whatnot. So we are the very light version of the Orchard Thieves, of the Garden Variety Band, which has only played at this location several times through the years. So Deborah's going to start off singing you the lead on a little Joni Mitchell song here. It has to do with an environmental issue about paradise.
Paradise, put up a parking lot with a beautiful view, walking together, swinging in a hot spot. No, you always seem to know that you don't know what you got till it's gone. Take paradise, put up a parking lot. And they charge the people $1.50 just to see him. Don't it always seem to know that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Hey, paradise, put up a parking lot.
Take it, Frank.
This one is dedicated to our local beekeepers, Becky and Rex Harvey, who have their bees right over there.
Here's a Neil Young song for you. We're going to add the rest of the band in here.
Rose from Scotty's Plantscapes. Don't forget to check out that booth, as well as our olive oil producers who produce oil sustainably from trees right here in Ramona. And please check with our beekeepers about how to keep our bees safe and happy, and maybe even on your property. You can also check out Beryl at Julian Weaver's and her spinning buddy, Tammy.
Okay, here's a little Neil Young for you.
Neil Young, you like Grandpa singing?
Come a little bit closer, hear what I have to say.
Just like children sleeping, we can dream this night away. But there's a full moon rising, let's go dancing in the light. We know where the music's playing. Let's go out and feel the night. Because I'm still in love with you, I wanna see you dance again. Because I'm still in love with you on this harvest moon. When we were strangers, I watched you from afar. When we were lovers, I loved you with all my heart. But now it's getting late, and the moon is climbing high. I wanna celebrate, see it shine in your eyes. Because I'm still in love with you, I wanna see you dance again. Because I'm still in love with you on this harvest moon. Because I'm still in love with you, I wanna see you dance again. Because I'm still in love with you on this harvest moon. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce your MC for the day. This is Marie McDonald. Just got a few announcements before our first speaker.
Make sure mine's on.
Hey everybody! Welcome to the first annual Earth Day Festival in Ramona! Yay! How about that Garden Variety Band? Weren't they amazing? I'm a little biased, but what an awesome start to the day. I am so grateful. First of all, just want to say how grateful I am to be here with all of you. A little bit about myself. I grew up here in Ramona and went to Ramona High School, and then graduated from Ramona High School and went to UCSD. So I'm homegrown from Ramona, and I'm so grateful to be back here in this beautiful town, and really grateful that this space was created for us to just come together. We spend so much of our time reaping the benefits of this beautiful world, this beautiful earth that we live in, and how special is it to choose to spend a day learning more about how we can be better stewards to this planet, learning more about how we can do that in our daily lives, and also just celebrating this beautiful space, this beautiful planet that we all share, that supports our life. So grateful to be here, and what better way to celebrate and to learn than with speakers and music. So today we have some really brilliant speakers here, speakers that travel all over the place and speak to huge audiences right here in the Ramona Community Garden, speaking to us and teaching us. And we also have some incredibly talented musicians all day long until 6 p.m. So I am so grateful again to be here with you. A couple of announcements. If you have kids, you can check out our Kids Treasure Hunt event. It's at the Sustainable Ramona booth, which is all the way down there at the end of the booth. And on your way there, check out the incredible vendors that are here. You heard a little bit about olive oil and bees. There are retreat centers. There are weaving demonstrations, spinning demonstrations, homegrown mushroom kits, some incredible organic and local craft people, food people, incredible things to check out today. So if you go down and you have kids and you want to entertain them today, there is a treasure hunt that everybody wins. So you can go down to the Sustainable Ramona booth and they'll get a map that will lead them around on their treasure hunt. They will also learn about the 3 R's: recycling, renewing, and rot. I already learned something today. The third one is rot, and we are going to hear more about that later on today. But in the meantime, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. She's going to be over on the stage behind this area here. So today our musicians will be up here, our speakers will be over there. So you can sort of spin and reorient yourself to hear her. Our first speaker is Dr. Mandy Morell. She's a Ramona resident who teaches sustainability in action at Point Loma Nazarene University. Before joining the business school there,
There's this thing hissing all over the place. But what do we have that is it on here?
Dr. Morell, the business school, 2018 as a full-time faculty member, she gained 15 years of extensive managerial experience. That was in supply chain, project, and IT management.
All the way down?
She is going to kick off the speaker session with an explanation of sustainability. Ground ourselves in what it's all about today. And when she's finished with her remarks, you can go to the speaker's table right over there where you can ask her more questions or discuss the topics that she's going to speak with her. So if you're curious and want to know more, go talk to Mandy following her presentation.
Down a little bit.
So here we go. Welcome, Dr. Mandy Morell.
Hello, Sustainable Superstars! I am thrilled to be with you today to celebrate our Earth. And yes, each of you are a Sustainable Superstar. So what I want to do today is talk to you a little bit about how each of you can go home and be a sustainable superstar. But first, let me just start off with a basic definition. I mean, what is sustainability? Sustainability is really a complex topic, but my job today is to break it down for you and make it super simple and make it something that you can build into your everyday life. So I'm going to define sustainability as a balance. It is meeting the needs of the present while giving the ability for future generations to be able to meet their needs without having to make any compromises. So let me say that one more time. Sustainability is meeting our needs in the present without compromising the needs of future generations. So what that really looks like is embracing a needs versus wants mentality. How do we take a look at our practices, our habits, our consumption patterns, and think about how do we need or do we want different things? So I want to encourage you guys to think about today. Now, to go into sustainability a little bit deeper, sustainability is really a three-legged stool, if you want to visualize it. There's really three main aspects that make up what it is to be sustainable. And I think you all can guess what the first one is. There are actually three P's. The first P is our planet. So when we're thinking about being sustainable, we need to be thinking about our planet. So our planet is awesome in that it was designed to self-regenerate, to bring itself back. So if you cut down a tree will grow in its place. If you catch a fish will grow and eventually be catchable size to grow in its place. The issue that we've run into in the last 120 years or so is since the Industrial Revolution, since the eras of mass production and mass consumption, we are burning through our resources at a rate that is faster than the natural replenishment rate that Mother Nature can provide. And so thinking through that needs versus wants mentality is really encouraging us to be conscious about how we can kind of gauge our own consumption level to really care for Mother Nature and give her time to replenish. You know, one thing that's kind of emerged as, we have ramped up in our society and our production is our use of fossil fuels. We are pumping out massive amounts of carbon into our atmosphere. And what's awesome is Mother Nature is trying to help us out. Our forests are out there trying to absorb carbon. Our oceans, the lungs of the planet, are also absorbing carbon. But the rate at which we're pumping out and burning our fossil fuels is more than what our Mother Nature can keep up with. Our forests are being clear cut as our use for lumber is growing. And then our oceans are becoming so bogged down with carbon that they're actually becoming acidic and becoming a less than habitable atmosphere for sea life to live, which makes it harder for us to catch a fish when we want to go fishing. And that also impacts into our air quality as well. When there's carbon in the air and there's nowhere for it to go, that's where climate change comes from, is this excess carbon in the atmosphere. And so thinking through, how do my individual actions impact the carbon that's going into the atmosphere is really what sustainability and that needs versus want mindset is all about. So what I want to encourage you to do is figure out what is your carbon footprint. There are a lot of carbon footprint calculators that are on the internet, so I'm a professor, I'm going to give you homework. It may be Saturday, but I want to encourage you guys to go home and think about what is my carbon footprint? What do my habits, my actions, my patterns look like? It'll ask you things like, what is my electric consumption? How many miles do I drive? How many flights a year am I taking? What does my diet look like? And it'll really give you a good understanding as to what do my actions impact on this larger planet. Now, when I tell you that, I don't want you to be discouraged, because as Americans, we have a very developed society, and just our built-in infrastructure makes our carbon footprint larger than a lot of other areas in the world that may be less developed. But what's awesome is once we kind of have an idea of what our contribution is, we can also have an idea of what steps we can take to kind of live more sustainably to reduce our carbon footprint. So that's what sustainability really is it's a series of small actions. Sustainability is a journey that we all go on to figure out How do we live in this world? How do we take what we need, but again, leave what's left to the next generation? So again, I'm coming back to that three-legged stool. The first P is planet. Now the second one that I want to talk to you about is another P, and that is people. Sustainability is really all about people and having equity for all people. We live in a world that we're learning is getting smaller. We have finite resources and they're dwindling so that some people have not only their needs but also their wants. And there's other people, sometimes in our own communities, sometimes halfway around the world, that don't have the resources to be able to meet their needs. And so the people aspect of sustainability is trying to allow people to be able to have the resources that they need to be able to not only survive, but to thrive. We want people to be able to have access to things like an education so that they can better themselves, so that they can provide for themselves and for their family. And so, you know, there are unfortunately areas of this world where there are girls that are unable to get an education, unable to own and farm land. There are people out there that don't live in economies that allow them to be able to get jobs to be able to prosper their own society. And some of them even say, I would love to be able to be an entrepreneur and create my own jobs, but there's just no starter seed money for that. So equity and sustainability is creating an opportunity for all people to be able to meet their needs and then also to be able to prosper and to thrive. There are a lot of inequities in our world, and if you think about even our food supply, there's a lot of inequities there as well. I'm going to talk about the example of soy really quick. Soy is a great protein, and believe it or not, there are a lot of people that are dealing with chronic food insecurities, and soy is a great aspect that we have for solving global hunger. But instead, what we're running into is people are then struggling to be able to feed themselves, while a lot of the soy that's being grown globally, especially in hundreds of thousands of acres in South America, it's going to feed livestock that is going to feed a diet that is very westernized, and it's spreading globally, where we believe we need three meals a day, 7 days a week. And historically, that's just not been the way it is. So how can we think about, maybe how can we take a step less? Maybe we think about a meatless Monday, or supporting someone that maybe have food insecurity. So the first two P's, again, to quickly recap, are our planet and our people. And the last one I want to talk to you guys about is profit. Part of sustainability is profit. We need a thriving economy to be able to sustain our society. So profit in sustainability looks like not seeking short-term economic gain at the sacrifice of long-term economic solvency. How can we care for our people and our planet and make enough profit to be, and that's it, enough? What is enough? How can we meet our needs but not necessarily go after our wants? Because the price that we pay for trying to have a wants-based profit mindset versus needs-based is we are literally taking from the next generation. So to conclude, sustainability is a three-legged stool. It's balance of people, planet, and profit. And so I just want to encourage you guys to think about, what are my needs versus my wants, and how can I leave enough to have an equitable future for all generations so that they can gather here in Ramona and enjoy the earth and beautiful days like this in the coming years. So thank you so much, Sustainable Superstars. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morrell. I loved your inclusion of equity in your talk, and we just all learned so much. Thank you for bringing us home and starting us off. All right, if anybody wants to talk some more to Dr. Morrell, has has any questions, wants to talk about anything she brought up, you can join her over at the speaker stage. She'll hang out over there for a few minutes. And now I'd like to introduce a very special musical group, the Orchard Thieves or Thief. Max McDonald is going to be singing next. And don't forget, if you have kids, they might want to join the treasure hunt and learn about those 3 R's. There's going to be a quiz later on what the R's are. They're not what you expect. Recycle, reuse, and rot. So try to remember that, because I'm going to have you help me next time. They'll really like that one, the kids. So go to the Sustainable Ramona booth for more information. It's down at the end of all of our vendors. And please put your hands together and welcome Max McDonald and Orchard Thieves.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I was thinking about this Earth Day festival, and I wanted to start with this song. It's about growing up in a small town, kind of like Ramona, and watching it develop and trying to square the connection you have to the old town that you knew and the things that you lose through development, but also the opportunities that come with that. That I'll walk away. So I froze myself in time, and most of me is still there. When the war was cold and the streets were hot, and Jane still ran a corner store, and I shed a native tear for every house that broke through the ground. I'm a builder for a living. What am I crying about? I've been here a long time, don't pass me, I'm local. I gotta walk away for a backyard, but the beach is walkable. And if change was a train, I built the tracks and then laid down. I'm a builder for a living. What am I crying about? What am I crying about? I'm tired of being a prop in some Malibu man's down home dream. For every contract that I take, it's gonna work to price me out. Somehow, someday I'll own a piece of this town. This town of mine is hard to share. It's my skin, I'm molting in a vulnerable state. This wind feels brisk upon these scales. Had the world at my back, now it's on my tail. I'm losing ground every time I bring my hammer down. I'm a builder for a living. What am I crying about? What am I crying about? I'm tired of being a prop in some Malibu man's down home dream. For every contract that I take, it's gonna work to price me out. Somehow, someday I'll own a piece of this town. A piece of this town. This is a love song. I wrote this one when I met my wife. We were both living in the Bay Area at the time. So there's some references to those. By the way, my wife is the MC, so this is a bit of a family affair here today. Stigma that etches itself into the heart of a defeated man, drinking vitriol, smoking Novocaine. There's no safe place but his desert cave. There's a warning blaring in our ears we all ignore till we find ourselves running with our best hat, a baby book, and a small bag. I'll be the exception to every rule. My shadow won't keep me from seeing you. You are the exception to every rule. You are the mama, babe, the moon queen. Living on reason, dreaming on viscera. We'll be the hope for the rest of us all. How long before you realize there are no more detours? There is a human image of a stricken chord. It's lying here watching you from the wood floor. There is no confusing what this thing is. What it seems it is what it is. Mountain fleas, padding bare feet, long walk down dirty Oakland Street. I'll be the exception to every rule. My shadow won't keep me from seeing you. You are the exception to every rule. You are the mama bee, the moon queen. Living on reason, living on viscera. We will be the hope for the rest of us all. Living on reason, living on viscera. We will be the hope for the rest of us all. Thanks. This song's called Mike. It's about a guy named Mike. You know, bear with me here 1 second. All right, Mike. Mike don't like the government, but he loves America. change his mind. He says, I'm mad enough to feel awake and to burn it down. A piece of a cure. I've been mad my whole life and now I'm mad at you. A piece of a cure. He'd always imagine that it's raining when the black cats meet under the shadow of a pillar. Broken man speaking in a hush. Trading souls the only way that they know how. And will the cherry blossoms even bloom this year? Or is it just winter now? He says, I'm mad enough to feel awake and to burn it down. A piece of the cure. I'm mad enough to feel awake and to burn it down. A piece of the cure. Yeah, you know Mikey's gonna do his own way. It's everything he learned in the classroom. It's just the truth they want him to see. He knows there are occult forces that mean him harm. There's the world that we know and the world that he knows, and never the twain shall meet. He says, I'm mad enough to feel awake and to burn it down. A piece of the cure. I'm mad enough now. I'm mad at you. A piece of the night. I'm mad enough to feel awake and to burn it down. Yeah, just to find a piece of the cure.
Has anybody seen Kurt?
Mike don't like the government, but he loves America. It's kind of a touchy song, isn't it? I'm gonna ask my wife to come up here and do some harmonies with me.
You getting it okay?
He's got a whole chest full of stuff in there. What?
This song's called The Night. It's another love song. You should always have a good ratio of love songs to non-love songs. There should be like 70-30 in my opinion. It's the one thing that we can all agree on.
90-10 is also good.
chill, it can take the wind. Catch the edge of a feeling, and we're home again. I can help you see, and you could make me hear. We'll just be here, we'll just be here. Can you tell how long it's been when you listen to the song that never ends? It's poetry without a pen when you listen to the song that never ends. It never ends. Make a cradle of a fingernail with the street lights on. We take the strolling. That it can be found, Mom can keep us down. A night is for this town. A night is for this town. Thanks, everybody.
I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan. I'm gonna be following him around to his next gig. All right, thank you, Orchard Thief / Thieves. So a couple of announcements here. Boxed Water was a support, made some big donations to this event, and they gave out free water that is available at the back snack bar. At the snack bar, there's also pizza, donuts, beer, wine, all kinds of delicious things, but Boxed Water donated for free. So stay hydrated. It's warm out here as you're in the sun. Pick up some Boxed Water. They're waving them around back there.
92 to 100% recyclable.
92 to 100% recyclable, says my dad. My dad also just told me some amazing and awesome news. Any additional funds, extra funds, excess funds from what we make from today's donations are going directly to refugees in Ukraine. So if you would like to add to those funds, please do. You can see the man under the purple tent there, Rob Llewellyn, and he can hook you up with how to do that. That is some incredible news. Even more to be proud about today. And just a reminder that if you have young ones that want to engage in a treasure hunt, there are prizes at the end. Everybody wins. You can go to the Sustainable Ramona booth, which is there at the end of all of our incredible vendors. And check them all out along the way. I was able to do that this morning in there. I just can't wait to dig in deeper to all of them. So next, I want to direct your attention to the speaker stage again. We have a really special presence here today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce some friends of mine that I respect very much for their leadership, the way they lead their lives, their book, the way they provide leadership to the community, James and Frederica Siren. They're here to tell us today about their book, Zero Waste for Families. I've read this, it's wonderful. They have taught us in our own community down in San Diego a lot about how to have a smaller carbon footprint, less waste as a family, or just as you inhabit your own space in your own home. I have a family, and I'm so excited to learn even more today about how we can all create zero waste. Following their presentation, you also, I believe, can purchase one of their books, Zero Waste for Families, over there at the speaker stage. So join me in welcoming them. You'll be able to ask them any questions after their talk, so listen carefully to see what questions you have. And please welcome Frederica and James.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor for us to be here and in this beautiful garden. So, yes, we are the Zero Waste family. I'm Frederica, this is James, and we have 3 children, Isabella, Noah, and Liam, and they're all here. So we live a zero waste, and we have done that since 2016. This is when James here decided to remove our trash can. So, what does it mean to be zero waste? It means that if we can't compost it, if we can't recycle it, or we can't reuse it, we will just not bring it into our home. We don't throw anything away. We try to buy as much in bulk, grow our own food or go to the farmer's market, because this way we can eat things that are package free. So we live on an urban homestead, and James is going to tell you about that.
So one of the ways we go zero waste is we grow a lot of the food that we eat for our family of 5. We live just about 10 minutes from downtown San Diego, so we have a pretty small lot compared to some of the things that I see up here in Ramona. We have about 440 square feet of growing spaces, and we grow 37 different types of vegetables and herbs and about 17 different types of fruit. And we don't grow them all at the same time. This is really a family garden, so we really are carefully planning and planting all year round so that we're growing and being able to eat out of our garden. Did I say we eat over about 70% of the food that our family of 5 eats? So that's a real priority for us because there's a big impact in terms of food transportation, and there's also, you don't know as much about where the food's coming from. So of the food that we don't grow on our homestead, we do try to buy locally at our local farmers markets, which we're so blessed in San Diego to have farmers markets and so many local farmers literally 52 weeks of the year. On our homestead, we're a zero waste homestead. So we build our own soil. An important part of that is that we have chickens and we have rabbits. We have a rabbit, and that's part of the whole cycle of building our soil. So the chickens will eat some of our food scraps. They produce eggs for us and compost from their poop, and so we'll compost that down with the rest of our garden, and as well as the droppings from our rabbit. And we really focus on building our soil because that is such a key part of being able to sustainably garden all year round. And we, what am I missing in our garden? Anything else?
Yeah, we compost 4 different.
Yeah, we have 4 different types of compost. So the other thing I forgot to mention about the chickens is that we grow a lot of tomatoes. And so if we think about our garden, we're trying to grow so that we can eat continuously out of our garden. But some things like tomatoes or broccoli, a lot of that is seasonal. So we do a lot of preserving of the vegetables so that we can then eat them all year round. The chickens, for the eggs from our chickens, tomatoes need really calcium-rich soil. So the other aspect of our composting is that we take the chicken eggs, egg shells, and we'll grind those up into a pattern which is highly calcium-rich, and we put that into the soil where we're growing tomatoes, which really helps create these amazing abundance of tomatoes. Frederica mentioned we've composted them 4 ways. So we have worm compost. We also, as I mentioned, have our chickens. We have a garden compost, and then we have a bokashi compost. And so if you're thinking about getting into composting and you're just not quite sure about it, bokashi composting is a really easy way to get started, especially if you do eat meat, because really you can compost literally everything from fish bones to meat in bokashi composting. And I've got a whole class that I teach on composting. So that's a little bit about our homestead. So how do we live zero waste outside of the garden?
Yeah, so of course, well, like I said, if we can compost it, reuse it, recycle it, we don't bring it into the home, which means that we buy majority of our things used. So we're talking about clothes, toys, furniture, bikes, you name it, anything except our underwear and socks. We do not buy that. If we do buy something new, we try to buy it as sustainable, as local, and high quality as possible. We live very minimal, I would say, so our kids, they do not have a whole lot of toys, and that's by their choice. They're not suffering, trust me. We believe in doing much more experiences with our kids, so traveling, getting outside, going surfing, being out in nature, and that's one of the most important way that we're raising our kids. So I wanted to tell about the book that is out now. It's called Practical Guide to Zero Waste for Families. And it is because 15 years ago when I started this journey, I've been an environmental writer for 20 years. And when I became a mom to our daughter, who is now 15, that's when I realized the individual action, how important it is for us to solve the climate change crisis that we have. I do believe that it is a triangle of individual action, I think manufacturers and businesses and government, but our part is very, very important. But 15 years ago, there were no zero waste movement when we started this. There were not even zero waste swaps. So I had to figure out everything on my own. Today, I can happily say that things have changed. And I was looking so desperately for a book, a resource that I could help me reduce my waste. So instead, I wrote one because it didn't exist. There's a lot of book about how to reduce waste, not anyone how to reduce waste with kids. And as you guys know, kids come with a whole lot of trash. Not my kids though, anymore. So anyway, so I wrote this book to help other people to reduce waste. This is not about going zero waste. This is about making one change at a time, baby steps. And I always, like me and James always say, enjoy the journey. That's really important. We got to do this for our kids, for the planet, for the future. So my book will have all my recipes, all my resources, and all my tips and swaps to help everyone else, make this journey a little bit easier than it was for us.
Thanks. And what I love about the book is it's just, if you're looking to be inspired, if there's just so much in our life that you think about, like, well, hang on, if you've got kids, how do we do birthday zero waste? Or if you're traveling, how do we travel zero waste? Everybody's shopping and cooking at home, and how do you reduce the waste there? So if you're really looking to get inspired in different aspects of your life around how can you maybe make some very practical changes to reduce the impact that you've got on the planet, that book is just it's a great one. And so if you've got any questions about anything in your life that you'd like to kind of ask about how we've done, we're going to be available. We'd love to answer any of your questions. If you're interested in the book, we brought a few copies as well. And we'd love to. Oh, and one of the swaps that we love is we really hate saran wrap, plastic wrap, and so we have beeswax wrap, which is a great replacement. Beeswax wrap is kind of sticky and it kind of replaces saran wrap, and it lasts for about a year. You just wash it up. Don't put it in the dishwasher, it'll melt. But you just wash it by hand and you can reuse it over and over again. And after about a year, if it gets a little bit past its prime, you can put it right in the compost. So we brought a bunch of those up to give you for free. If you buy a book, you can check it out. And so anyway, we'd love to answer any questions that you have, and thank you so much for coming out today. It's such an inspiring location, and so thank you very much.
Enjoy the day.